Coming to you from the beautiful metaverse. And as you'll immediately notice if you have been watching Midday with Rev Don, I have mirrored my camera today. It is showing um, in reverse from how it normally shows, and you'll see why in a few minutes. Today I'm going to talk about the Wheel of Hekate magazine, and also in general about the Pagan Press, which I was very active in the 1980s and 1990s. I'm going to share with you some materials from that era, and so that you can see the writing, I have mirrored the camera from what I normally have. If you are the sort of person who's interested in community history, or for that matter, simply enjoy my artwork, we'll be looking at quite a bit of that today, I hope. And also, I plan to be adding some of these things to my Patreon. And if you're not familiar with my Patreon, you can find it at revdonlewis.com. And it's still really being set up, but I'm going to be starting to post in earnest this week. And last week, I was gone for Wednesday because I had gone to Atlanta to get some things that had been stored for me at Sacred Sea Temple. And it was quite the undertaking, but we got some very interesting things back. And you'll be hearing a lot more about the things that came back in the future. But today, I was going to share some of the morgue that I retrieved. I retrieved 6 folders like this of morgue material. That is to say, old publications in this case, from that bygone era of the Pagan Press. If you don't remember the Pagan Press, and you won't remember the Pagan Press unless you have been in the community for a long time, once we had large numbers of print magazines coming out from all across the country, and not only this country, but people were sharing their ideas and articles and artwork and commentary in, and their news also, which today you would find online. But this was before the internet. And I myself had a magazine called The Wheel of Hekate. I also illustrated and occasionally wrote for 90 plus other magazines during those years. And some of this material I don't think has been seen since the 1980s. Other pieces we've repeatedly republished of my work. As you know, we use a lot of my older work in things like the omnibus that we recently brought out, which you can find at corellianpublishing.com. But some of this artwork you will probably never have seen before, even if you follow my artwork, unless you happen to have been a subscriber to the Wheel of Hekate in the 1980s. So in front of me I have the cover of the second issue of the Wheel of Hekate, and you can see that the lettering is hand-drawn, as is the artwork. This, in fact, was drawn as a single piece in one sitting. The woman in the picture is my late wife, the mother of my son John, the Lady Winter Wren. And this was right before our marriage, which happened in 1988. This was 1987. And you can see that I have drawn her reading tarot cards, which is what she did. And it's a very nostalgic piece. As we go forward, you might recognize this piece, which has shown up in many other places. Here, it is illustrating a poem by Donna Lyon-Rose. And here you can see some of the contributors to the magazine, including myself, Winter Wren, and a picture of Elizabeth Greenwood, who was actually my mother and considerably older than this at the time. But if you look at photos of my mother as a young woman, you will see it's a pretty good portrait. I thought I would take a moment and read the poem for you. It's called A Pagan's Chance. And it reads as so. I rest my case with Mother Sea and asked my due of objectivity when they claim there's something wrong with me as my faith is not Christianity. For I'd rather worship 'neath the moon, to dance to the starlit eldritch tune, casting for wisdom by the ancient rune, asking my lady for some long-sought boon. I shall not bow to a death-struck religion that denies my thoughts and personal decisions, whose only reward is a dull, stark heaven, promising a sun, the dark is sent in. And this time I shall not be cast aside, nor accept the stake, though I shall not hide. I shall give the sword to turn the tide, for I'll not forsake the mother's pride. And I shall venerate the sky and earth, through my song and dance and joyous mirth, around the warmth of the mother's hearth, heralding the ageless goddess rebirth. By Donna Lionrose. And Donna Lionrose was my favorite poet back in the day. She is now in spirit. I have no idea who would have the rights to her poetry today, or if there's any way to access it now. But back in the day, she was widely published, and I was very fond of her. We knew each other quite well. Um, and let me just make certain everything is as it should be. And because I see some people are oh.